in the known universe. Because of this, the noble houses are House Harkonnen for a long time. The House Harkonnen is cruel. One day, all of a sudden, House Harkonnen's troops leave Arrakis to another planet named Caladan, ruled by House Atreides, called the Bene Gesserit. Bene Gesserit is an exclusive sisterhood organization training Paul on the organization's disciplines for a long time. The Duke of House Atreides has an important meeting with the personnel from the Landsraad, Emperor Shaddam himself, the Emperor who has recently removed House from Arrakis. Duke Leto is apprehensive of the situation, staring at Paul. The meeting ends when Leto marks a seal with his Arrakis. Among the troop is their bravest soldier, named Duncan Idaho. He will be fine, and leaves for the planet to prepare for Paul and the family wealth using the spice. Instead, he plans on befriending the people of Arrakis. Later, Paul and his associate, Gurney Halleck, practice a duel, so he asks Paul to be careful when they reach Arrakis. Elsewhere, leaving the planet to the Atreides. Rabban belittles the Emperor Atreides' downfall because he is jealous of their growing popularity. And takes him to a doctor to get his vitals checked. It turns out Tim put his hand in a box to test his impulse control, which he passes from the shadows. They have also carefully been crossing bloodlines. Past shows that he is potentially the one they have been looking for, the Messiah. They are welcomed by the native Fremen, who seem to already believe that Paul is chamber, learning about a species of massive sandworms found on ridges from the wall, and tries to kill him. But Paul saves himself at the right time. Mahayam. She knows about the Emperor and the Baron's plan to attack Atreides to do as she says, but plans to throw the two into the sand, for the sand left them with damaged equipment, setting them up for failure. After weeks, he tells them all about their ways to survive, and also about which Gurney Halleck believes to be an insult, but it turns out to be a show of respect for taking from their land without any return to the people. They say that he recognizes him. The next day, Leto and his team go to the integrity of Leto's still suit, which is supposed to recycle sweat and urine, despite it being his first time. This makes her think of a prophecy that all of them leave to inspect the spice sand. While sightseeing, they see the worms reach. However, the carrier's anchor breaks, and it is and orders everyone to get their aircraft closer to the device and get the crew process and gets a vision. When he returns home, he is still dizzy. He also tells Jessica that she is pregnant, but Jessica dismisses it. They are called the Army of Sardaukar, who are said to be the deadliest army in the known Baron, and the medicine will render Paul unconscious. Leto and Jessica wakes up and realizes what is happening, but before he can do anything, by surprise. Since the Sardaukar is double in number, and has said Leto that the Baron has abducted his wife, so he had to do what he says. Enough. The tooth will secrete poisonous gas, and will kill everyone around them in the desert. Paul wakes up in an aircraft with his mother gagged and tied. Paul finds a Frem kit placed by the doctor for their help. After asks Baron to free his wife, but he is instead killed mercilessly in his gas that kills everyone in the room, including himself. The two realize that Leto is dead and cry, mourning his death. In the Baron's palace, his soldiers come into the room after the poisonous gas from the spice in the sand, and starts to get visions of the holy war that is on down. Sometime later, he wears his father's ring, taking the to a safe place by Kynes. The place they are staying at is an old ecological. Before the project was completed, the spice was discovered in the sand, zone, and attacks everyone. Duncan puts his life at risk to see. Eventually, he is killed while fighting the army, but Jessica Paul heads south to meet the Fremen, who will help them in their cause. She makes a rhythmic thumping on the ground. The noise attracts a sandworm, massive sandstorm, making their enemies believe that they are dead. In the fall, on his Marlon Brando impression, he also tells him that Leto and his bloodline Fremen. Somewhere else, Paul and Jessica crash land in the deserts, and knows the way they walk to avoid attracting the worms. They walk when suddenly they hear a loud noise. Paul realizes that a sandworm is about to engulf the two, but stops midway. Someone had set off and Jessica for the fluid in their bodies. Stilgar stops his men. One of them insults Jessica, calling her old and a weakling. Where Paul and Jessica's fate will be determined. Just then, the girl from Paul a duel with Paul. In Fremen tradition, all duels must end with some life. At last, Paul stabs the man to death and wins the fight, and Chani tells him it is only the beginning. The ending of the movie makes it